Hello and welcome to Les Mystères de l'Histoire. This is Pete and this is episode 6. In today's episode we will talk about the Princess of Lyon and Geneva, Clothilde, who lived around the year 500 among the rubble of the Roman Empire. Clothilde was born around 475 in Vienne, Lyon, or perhaps even Geneva. Of illustrious origins, she belongs to the sacred Goth dynasty of the Balti, as did the great Alaric. She was the daughter of the Burgundian king Chilperic II, himself son of Gondjoc, who had shared his kingdom between his sons, Chilperic reigning in Lyon, Gondobad reigning in Vienne, and Gogizel running Geneva. The Burgundians are Arian Christians, followers of Arius, and thus in opposition to the official religion of Rome. Grégoire de Tours is a major source on Clothilde's life, although controversial. It presents a tragic picture of the death of Clothilde's father, Chilperic, murdered by his own brother, Gundobad. Clothilde then reportedly fled to her other uncle, Gogizel, in Geneva, then finds herself again at the court of Gondobad, the murderer of her father, in Vienne. Remember our episode 2 and the exile of King Herod to Vienne. And so it is in the same place and in an atmosphere of betrayal and conspiracy worthy of Herod the Great that Clothilde meets Saint Avit, Bishop of Vienne. He preaches the Roman Catholic faith inherited from the emperors of Rome, St. Constantine, and the Council of Nicaea. Avit comes from a powerful Gallo-Roman senatorial family of Avan origins. His ancestor Avitus was even briefly the Western Roman emperor after an alliance with the Visigoth in days gone by. Seizing the opportunity of a new sack of Rome, this time by the Vandals of Genseric, during their wanderings towards Africa, he was acclaimed in Tolosa by the Visigoth king, then in Arles, before being recognized in Rome itself. But the experiment quickly soured, for lack of serious support in Italy itself. Saint Avit, therefore, Catholic secretary of the Arian Burgundian kings, has won the trust of King Gundobad and even converted his son Sigismund to Catholicism. Remember our episode 4 when we see them found together the Abbey of St. Maurice d'Agone, endowed with its perpetual psalmody. Clothilde herself also converted. Everything happens as if the Gallo-Roman and Goths had learned the lessons of the failed imperial reign of Avitus. It is now a matter of convincing Rome and the Italians. And what better way than to adopt their official and mandatory religion? Clothilde enters history on the occasion of her marriage, heavy with consequences. She indeed espouses a small leader of the Sicilian Franks, Clovis I, promised to a great destiny. Born around 466, Clovis is a Merovingian. His quasi-mythical ancestor, Merove, was an ally of the Roman general Aetius against the Huns of Attila, who were defeated in the Battle of the Catalaunic Fields. Merove was reputed, according to Fredegair's chronicle, to have been spawned by a beast of Neptune, a marine creature that would be the source of a magical power attributed to the Merovingian dynasty. Clovis himself is the leader of the Salian Franks, a small people of present-day Belgium. He fought to unify the Frankish kingdoms. He opposed the Burgundian power, confronted the Visigoth, and allied himself with the Ostrogoth. Grégoire de Tours is an important source on the life of Clovis in his Historia Francorum, although often a polemicist and romanticized. Against the background of the decay of the Western Roman Empire from a political point of view, and of a great religious division between the Nicene and Arian Christianities, Clovis the Merovingian is a pagan, venerating the Germanic gods. The south of ancient Gaul then divides itself between the Subpodia of the Burgundians to the east and the southwest, south of the river Loire, which belongs to the Visigoth, who also controls Spain and Catalonia. Burgundians and Visigoths are Arian Christians, while the imperial Roman dogma coercively promotes the Catholic Christianity from the Greek Universal, the Nicene Creed. It is reported that Clovis is first interested in Arian Christianity, as were most of the Germanics. Remember our episode 5 in Wulfila, bishop to the Goth, who converted Alaviv and Alaric to Christianity on the shores of the Black Sea. He first married a Frankish princess from whom Thierry was born. Let us remember, however, that the Germans of that time were polygamous and that this marriage did not commit him too much. He first defeated Syagrius, the last representative of Gallo-Roman power. He thus takes over Paris after winning a big victory in Soissons. This is the famous episode of the Soissons vase of the Images of Epinal, circa 486. And it is in Soissons itself that his marriage with Clothilde will take place around 492 as part of an alliance with the Burgundians. In the same year, he married his sister to Theodoric, king of the Ostrogoths, the master of Italy. In 496, he faced the Alamads in the Great Battle of Tolbiac. Clovis reportedly promised the insistent Clotilde to convert if Jesus gave him victory. While everything seemed lost, the Alaman king was killed by an arrow, thus triggering the debacle of his troops. Like Constantine at the Milvius Bridge, Clovis emerged victorious from the event. He will now keep his word. Bishop Remy of Reims conducted his instruction, and Clovis was baptized with a considerable number of his parents and warriors on the 25th of December. Around the year 500, a new Herodian adventure takes place in the Burgundian kingdom. Clovis first allied himself with the king of Geneva, Clothilde, against his brother Gundobad, whom he defeated in Dijon. But when the Visigoth king Alaric II rescued Gundobad in Avignon, Clovis gave Clothilde up and got back together with Gundobad to face their powerful western neighbors. In 502, his eldest son, Thierry, marries the daughter of Sigismund, himself son of Gundobad, whom we already know as the founder of the Abbey of Saint Maurice d'Ancône. Séverin, an abbot of Saint Maurice, will miraculously cure Clovis of disease. In 507, it is the great offensive to the south. Now supported by the Eastern Roman Emperor Anastasius, the Franks crossed the Loire River and pitched the battle lines near Poitiers, at Vouillers. The terrible carnage is also the occasion of a personal triumph for Clovis. During a one-on-one duel of epic proportions and consequence between the two kings, he kills with his own hands his irreducible opponent, the great Alaric, great-grandson of the author of the Sack of Rome. Remember episode 5. So it is the Visigoths lose Aquitaine and retire to Hispania. They keep only the Narbonnese and Septimania, north of the Pyrenees. In 508, having received the consulate from the Eastern Emperor, he proceeds, in turn, to a triumph according to ancient fashion, similar in many ways to the triumph of Titus after his victory over Jerusalem. Clovis's heritage is significant. He unifies a territory very similar to the territory of contemporary France. He established his capital in Paris, on the remains of the city of Saint-Geneviève. All French kings will be crowned in Reims. Think of the Joan of Arc story. About 20 kings of France would bear his name. Louis, the most popular name amongst French monarchs. He also inaugurated the French sovereign's long-standing policy of alliance with the Roman popes. And finally, the Visigothic defeat puts an end to the secular ambitions of the Arian heresy and foreshadows its subsequent extension on the religious level. Well then, dear friends, is it presumptuous to think that there is a link between the intrigues of Clovis and the Burgundians who influenced him, and the earlier exile of King Herod's court in Vienna, the site of even the most tragic of these events? All happens as if an Endymion tradition oozed through the ages in this city. Why did Queen Clothilde and her cousin Sigismund choose to convert to Roman Catholicism, abandoning thus the camp of Arianism to its ultimate defeat? Some cite the possible role of a mother whose precise historical identification remains difficult to establish with certainty. Who was she then? Finally, did Clovis, by killing Alaric with his own hands on the battlefield of Vouillers, manage to seize the treasure of the Visigoth with, why not, utensils and treasures from the Temple of Jerusalem itself, plundered by Titus in 70, and transported to Tolosa by Ataulf around the year 400 after the sack of Rome? Another legend tells us that the tomb of Alaric II, the last Visigoth king of Toulouse, is buried in the Alaric Mount, not far from Carcassonne, with a vast treasure. A stone throw really from Razes, present day Rennes-le-Château. I hope to have intrigued you a little bit, and I invite you to join me soon for new discoveries and new mysteries. This is no longer the beginning, but the story is still young. Carthago delenda est.